I don't know about you, but I am someone with many hobbies, some of which have been historically popular in the older community. Yes, by that I mean retirement community, such as crafting. I don't know, something about getting into the material and creating something physical with my hands has always been a great creative outlet for me. So when I stumbled upon these book nooks that combine two of my loves, reading and crafting, I knew this was going to be my past, present, and future. So let's get crafting. I saw that Michael sells this wooden book nook item that I thought would look a little nicer and more put together than, let's say, using a shoebox as the base. This is just personal preference though, babe. Use whatever your heart desires. Here's said book nook structure we'll be using, and then I also went into Hobby Lobby and then Target to get a few more supplies. But for Michael's, I also picked up 2 different types of craft paper. Fancy, I know. Some wooden dowels, and then a mini LED light so we can see what we're doing. And in Hobby Lobby, I kind of arguably went a tad too crazy, but everything tiny was so cute. I got some windows, but not just regular windows. Fancy windows. Love that. These really aesthetic vintage mirrors. Garland for the vibes. A little itty bitty tea set. And then teeny tiny potted plants. In Target, got some straws, of course. Some popsicle sticks. Oh, I'm sorry. Craft sticks. Obviously, come on, Sarah. My bad. And then some cardstock. Oh, wait. 50 cents glue sticks. The steal of the day. Okay, now that we have all of our material, we can get crafting. First things first, I had to assemble the kit, and for a kit that looks like it's marketed for children, it was actually quite difficult to put together. It took a bit of horsepower, but being the strong, independent woman I am, that was no problem. Not struggling. Me, never. Oh, peep my new tattoo, which I have not properly showed you all yet because it's still healing. I'll update you guys more in a separate video, but there's your sneak peek. Next, I got right into painting it. I just used tried and true white acrylic paint as I thought it would be a nice neutral base and match some of the white accents I have throughout my apartment. I also sealed everything with Mod Podge off camera. Anything that I paint in this video, just go ahead and assume that I Mod Podged it off camera, because I did. And my friends, this is why we put down something under while doing anything with paints. Foolish me. I really wanted to create my own wooden flooring instead of just painting the floor or using wood craft paper so that the flooring would really pop and look realistic. I would love to take credit for this, but I'm sure it's been done before, but I figured popsicle sticks would be perfect to use for flooring. So to do that, I mixed some acrylic paint, watered it down a little bit with some water so that when I painted the popsicle sticks, the wood would show through some. You see, you have to think ahead about these things. Before we get to the floor installation, I cut some of the craft paper I bought and glued that in the back to act as wallpaper, which is probably one of my favorite aspects of the whole book nook. And I'm not even a wallpaper person in real life, but in a book nook, it's adorable. When I painted the popsicle sticks, I made sure to paint some a bit darker than others so that when I cut and then glued the flooring in, there was some color variation among the planks. I was going for more of a jungle adventure rustic flooring rather than a city living shiny basketball flooring. My fellow simmers will understand. Sam Smith's late as usual, but let's get back to business. For the bookshelf, I decided to use cardboard for my material of choice as I figured that would be the easiest to measure and then cut and then make adjustments to as necessary. I covered the cardboard with wood craft paper and then honed in on my elementary art class skills and got out my glue stick to adhere the paper with. I also thought it made sense to just go ahead and paint the window I wanted for my book nook, print out and cut a photo for it, and then glue that sucker in. You'll see soon, things start to get a bit tricky trying to fit everything in such a small space, so I found it's best to work back to front. After that was in, I tried to glue the bookshelf in, looking the most non-crooked to the best of my abilities. If it looks a little janky, you know, that just adds to the aesthetic. Totally. Hopping into Illustrator, I used images of various book covers to create these miniature covers. Looking at these books makes me so happy because there are some of my all-time favorite reads. I wanted my book nook to be filled with books I love. There's no room in my mini library for unworthy novels. For each book, I also typed out the name of the novel and arranged it on the spine. If you want to create your own mini book, mine came out to be, once assembled, about 1.2 by 0.8 inches. So the dimensions of the actual cover, including the front, spine, and back cover, was about 1.2 by 1.8 inches. Hopefully that makes sense. Once I printed my file out, oh, great transition, Sara. And after many failed attempts of trying to figure out the best way to put together these miniature books, I finally figured out a method I was somewhat happy with. So this is what you're going to want to do. First, take a little piece of paper, a piece of cardboard stacked too high, and one of your miniature book covers. Next, you're going to cut that double stacked cardboard so that it is slightly smaller than the size of your cover. Then you're going to cover that cardboard with your piece of paper. I found this method of folding and gluing two of the sides down and then cutting the other two sides into triangles before folding them over and gluing them down was the best way to get a tight seal. And then once you have your covered piece of cardboard, just glue that into your mini cover and voila, miniature book. Eventually, after about 1.5 hours and questioning why I ever thought this was a good idea in the first place, I had 30 miniature books and significantly less sanity. But just look at them, they're so cute. The book nook kit I bought came with a pre-cut hole in the back, and I assume it's supposed to be used to install a light. At least that's what I end up using it for. But since I already glued the wallpaper in, that hole was since covered up. So I just went at it with a needle and reopened that hole. Crafting requires a lot of resourcefulness, but now I could thread my mini lights wire through, adjust where I wanted it, and attach it to the back. Here I am just gluing in some of the garland I got. And then also the mini mirrors, which, not to sound conceited, looks really cool in the end. This book nook size-wise is clearly designed for hardcovers. At my apartment, I do plan on putting it on my bookshelf, but here at my parents' house, I am just going to put some random hardcovers up here for the time being so that we can just get an idea of what it's gonna look like. With some of the leftover wood-covered cardboard, I made a little bench that had more book storage underneath it. You'll see what I mean in a minute. For the seat cushion, instead of using stuffing for the filling, since I had none, I used a cotton pad and then took some fabric and covered it up and glued that on top of the bench. Right now, I'm sewing a mini pillow for the first and last time. It was so hard to make something so small. The final aspect of my book nook I wanted to create was a ladder for it. My dream is to one day have a library of my own with a ladder. So until then, my mini library and its miniature ladder will suffice, I guess. Nothing too crazy went into making this, just some wooden dowels, paint, and hot glue. As you can see, I'm now back at my apartment and I have moved my book nook to its designated spot. At least for now. It may change, but I'm so happy with how this book nook turned out. This project definitely took longer than expected. I've been working on this for like 2 weeks, but it's really satisfying knowing that the result of slowly losing my sanity at least resulted in something pretty cool. Hopefully, maybe you got a few tips or tricks for your own book nook. If you do end up making one of these, make sure to tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see what you create. Friday night idea for you: audiobook and book nook crafting. You're welcome. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. You can also comment, interact, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. I'd really appreciate it. This was a task. I hope you all are having a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.